What you're about to hear is Brian Bowcock, the chairman of the Select Board, Fairhaven, Mass., responding to one of the citizens of Fairhaven, Mass., Karen Isherwood.
Your issue is not on our agenda. You are not on our agenda. Your arguing with me is not on our agenda. But we have a very full agenda, and that's what we're going to deal with.
WBSM goes live and local. More than just talk with Phil Paleologos. Here's Phil.
Thank you so very much. In just a moment, we have some local residents in studio, people who have been keeping up with the wind turbine issue, and join us to air their feelings about last Monday night's Select Board meeting. Details coming up in just a moment here on More Than Just Talk. Welcome back. More Than Just Talk continues. In studio, we welcome Ken Pottel and Peter Goben. Both of these residents live in Fairhaven and have a lot to say about how, in their opinion, residents of Fairhaven have been treated. We're going to go back 2 weeks ago to the Select Board meeting. And in a word, Ken, how have residents, with regard to the turbines, been treated in Fairhaven by officials?
Well, I want to be specific and fair, not all officials. But at the 2 weeks ago at the Board of Selectmen meeting, Karen Isherwood finally got up and spoke and was put down by the chairman of the board, Brian Bowcock. And it's very unsettling because in a democracy, you want people who are being affected by something like this the right to speak. I mean, what is there to be afraid of? When you elect people to a board that represents all of the people in town, and I know that some members of the board have asked for us to be put on the agenda, and it's been denied by the chairman, Brian Bowcock. And the same thing has happened with the Board of Health. We've been denied the right to speak, and I find it unsettling because what is there to be afraid of? There's an issue here that's very serious to some people in this town. There are people who are sick. There are kids who are sick. I have families have asked if they could get up and speak.
Do you think it's a direct result of the wind turbines?
It definitely is. And then we've had literally hundreds of complaints filed with the Board of Health, and nothing's been done about them. And that's their responsibility. If people keep on issuing complaints and nothing is ever done, and then they can't speak at a meeting, something's wrong. It's dysfunctional town government. And, I'm optimistic because I think the people in this town, the voters, will speak. And we have an upcoming election in the spring. And that will be the opportunity to make some changes. But it is, to me, it's that bothers me more than anything. I know a lot of these people personally, like Peter, who's right here with us. And these are victims, and the victims have a right to speak.
Well, an official was quoted in Monday's Standard Times with the Ariel Wittenberg story, "Selectmen clash over Winfo's bid to speak at meetings." And if I may, it reads, quote, "Selectman Bob Espinosa accused Chairman Brian Bowcock of ignoring opponents of the town's 2 wind turbines at the board's Monday night meeting," unquote.
Yes,
So,
and Bob has asked in the past to be put on the agenda, and we have been denied. We want people to have a right to talk about what's happening to them. These people vote. They vote. They live in town. They pay taxes in town. They're being affected by this. They have a right to speak, and that's been denied. And Bob, hats off to him, because it takes a little courage to speak up against the chairperson. And Barbara Axon on the Board of Health has done the same thing. She's asked Peter to have this put on the agenda. And, not allowing a group of citizens who are suffering to be put on the agenda of a town board is just wrong. I don't care what side of this issue you're on. It's just wrong. It's not right.
This past Monday at the Select Board meeting, Selectman Espinosa questioned Chairman Bowcock's reasoning, noting that as chairman, Mr. Bowcock is in charge of setting the board's agenda. Have you found that there has been just a complete non-communicative curtain put up between the board itself, certain members, and residents?
Well, in this case, it's the chairman. The chairman sets the agenda, and if he doesn't put someone on the agenda, and he doesn't allow them to speak, even though other members of the board want these people the right to speak.
How long have you been waiting to speak?
We've been there off and on for months and months. We've sent in phone calls or emails or asked through Bob or through the other channels, but it's very discouraging. It's disheartening.
Well, it's almost unthinkable that in this day and age, residents, are not allowed to speak, even if they're not on the agenda.
Right. Absolutely. And I don't know. This is not the town I thought it was. When I was one of the chairperson of the Friends Committee in the Bike Path, there was hearings and hearings and hearings, and everyone was allowed to speak. Pro, con, there was a very, very hot contested issue. And that's the way it should be. I mean, you may not like what the person has to say, but you should have a right to say it.
Now, in defense of Dr. Bowcock, the chairman, he says that he takes exception to the characterization that he ignored anyone, and he says that members of your group have made a habit of trying to crash the meetings. What's your response?
Well, I guess he's taking it that we come to a meeting and he doesn't allow us to speak, that we're crashing it. One person that night, Karen Isherwood, who is very much suffering, tried to get up and speak, and finally he put her down. She did say, was able to speak for a very short time. But what he's saying is that if we come in, he won't put anyone on the agenda, and then if they get up and speak, then it's like mob rule, which is not the case. Mm-hmm. This is a very civilized group of people. We're not out there to form riots. People here are citizens of the town. They come in, they sit down, they raise their hand, and they're told they can't speak. They can't be put on the agenda. This
was a very interesting comment that was made during this Monday night's Select Board meeting, and Chairman Bowcock says that he doesn't want to schedule a public forum for the turbine opponents to speak until the estate has concluded its study. And he goes on to say that there are lots of other ways for people to voice their opinions. He said people have been on the radio and writing letters to the newspapers about the turbines. What more at this point are we going to add to the conversation? His words.
Right, his words, but he is a representative. He is elected by the people, and he's saying he's kind of shirking his responsibility, because his responsibility is to listen to the people of the town. Now, sure, yeah, people can write editorials. They can come here, allowing us to speak today. But being on a town board and allowing people to speak that vote, town residents, is not, I don't think, radical. And I think it's, and things have changed. In the past 6 months, past month, the wind and the leaves off the trees, there are so many people, Phil, that are hurting now. Much more more headaches and everything else. These people have asked. I've had families ask me, when could I come in front of a board? They're not going to, they work all day. Their moms and dads work all day. The kids are in school, and they can't get to sleep at night, just changing their rooms where they sleep, or they get headaches. And they said, yeah, I would like to speak. I'd like to have the opportunity to tell my town leaders what's happening with me. But right now, that's not a possibility.
We mentioned Bob Espinosa. We mentioned Chairman Brian Bowcock, and Selectman Charlie Murphy acknowledged that even though it was within the chairman's rights to set the agenda, he said that when I was chairman, I always was in favor of people coming before the board as long as it is done in a respectful manner.
And we completely agree with Charlie Murphy. And, that I second that. And that's the way it should be. People, you may not like the message, and you may want, but don't try to control the message by shutting it down, by not allowing people that have the right to free speech. It's just wrong.
Well, following Mr. Murphy's comments, the chairman, Mr. Bowcock, said that he'd look into the board's agenda for its December 4th meeting, and he went on to say that I will let you know if I will put them on it or not. Your comments?
Well, that would be it would be nice to have him give the opportunity for residents, many of the residents, to come in and talk and speak and give. And he certainly has a right to say, 3 minutes each person or whatever that is, so that he doesn't. We're not there all night, and I understand that. There's got to be a decorum. There's got to be some guidelines, but that. It shouldn't even be, to me, it shouldn't even be debatable. It should be, yeah, okay, no problem. But
when did town government in Fairhaven turn like this?
Well, it's turned on this one issue.
This is the one issue that
it's such an issue. And don't forget, the chairman was very much behind. He was very much involved in bringing this project to town. So now the project's not going well.
How does the project impact your life, Peter Goben? You are a resident. How far away from the turbines?
I live about 1,500 feet away.
And how has it impacted your life?
Well, in the summer it wasn't so bad. In August we actually had it was promising because they were doing the wind study, and we thought this will help out the situation. They'll realize there is a problem. The study has gone on a lot longer than anybody expected, and people have been affected all this time, and they're trying to let the town know, the Board of Health, Board of Selectmen, trying to let them know that people are being affected and something needs to be done. The developer hasn't shown up at a health board meeting that he was scheduled to show up at, and nothing has been done for these people. Myself in particular, my wife and I, we're 1,500 feet, and my bedroom faces to the east toward the turbines.
Describe what happens.
I can't sleep in my bedroom.
Why not?
Because I either get woken up a number of times during the evening. I have to play music or a television all night, which I never had to do in my life.
Is it because of the sound, or what is it?
I just keep waking up. And if I go sleep on my couch, I can sleep the whole night through most nights. But in my bedroom, I can't. So essentially, my wife and I have slept in our bedroom maybe 7 nights since the turbines have been up.
So it's displaced your household?
Well, I'm in my living room, basically, at night.
Mm-hmm. And are you feeling as though the town, some officials in town are ignoring what you would like to do?
Well, it's not what I would like to do. It's what needs to be done for people who are suffering. A dear friend of mine, John Methia, his son had to move out of his house. Is displaced from his own home because he can't deal with the pressure.
How old is the son?
I'm not sure.
He's in high school.
High school.
But he's had to move to a relative's home, leave the town of Fairhaven. I'm not sure if he left the town of Fairhaven, but leave his own home. Mm-hmm. He's on the east side of the turbines.
Now, are you getting the kind of response and communication that is satisfactory from your Board of Health?
There really hasn't been any helpful reaction from the Board of Health. No.
What has there been from the Board of Health?
They take the complaints, but then that's it. And they haven't allowed us to be on the agenda for many, many months.
Okay. And your thoughts about that? Would you like to have more open dialogue, or are they saying wait until the state completes its study, or what?
I mean, I don't think the state, whenever they complete this study, should have a bearing on this. I mean, people and the residents have issues that are really unique to them, and whether the state study comes in above or below what the state level is, these are people who are hurting.
Well, can you put that on the ballot? Can you pass a petition to put it on the ballot that way?
Well, we looked into the ballot question. It's very, very almost. It's impossible. You have like 3,000. I forget exactly, but I wish I had it in front of me. But it's like 3,000 signatures, and you have to get it in like 2 weeks. It's very monumental.
What has this project done to the town of Fairhaven?
Well, I try to keep involved and try to be positive in working in relation. I have a lot of people I work with that aren't necessarily one way or another are actually for the turbines. And that's important, but it has created bad feelings.
Well, let me ask you point blank. You're not saying that you're against wind energy. You're saying the location is what you are against. Is that right? Exactly.
I mean, there are many people in that area who are strong environmentalists. And I'd say everybody believes in some sustainable energy.
Sure.
And like Bob Espinosa, selectman, he has got solar panels. He goes to work on a bicycle. Yeah. He lives it. He doesn't. But he understands what's happening in this neighborhood.
Well, there was a clash over the wind foes to speak at the meetings, and we're going to continue our discussion here on WBSM Radio. In the meanwhile, we're just going to take a very quick commercial break, and in that time, if you'd like to call and share your points of view at 508. Peter, let me reintroduce, for those of you folks who are just tuning in, we are very pleased to welcome Ken Pottel and Peter Goben, and we welcome any point of view on this program. These gentlemen are here to talk about actually a clash that has been going on for a while between some officials in Fairhaven ignoring opponents of the two wind turbines, and this has frustrated people to no end. Now, Peter, are you against green energy? Are you against wind power?
Yes, I don't think anybody reasonable could be against green energy.
So are you for green?
I'm for green energy.
Okay.
I'm for wind turbines. You just can't put them this close to homes.
It's the location that you are truly concerned about, as many others are. So you're not against the turbines, you're against placing them in a location that just does not make sense and really dishevels the community. Okay? I'd like to ask Ken, where are the closest wind turbines to Fairhaven?
Well, there's a difference here. There are industrial turbines, which we have, and then there are other turbines like at UMass Dartmouth, and along the south coast you see smaller turbines, which are more suited, you might say, and some would say no. I mean, there's an argument there too. This is a densely populated area. You can't put these in this area. We're the only town on the south coast, from Wareham to Fall River. Fall River has one big industrial turbine in their city, but none of the towns and communities. They've tried. Many have tried, and they have withdrawn their applications because they did the research. They looked into it, and they knew that this was not a good thing.
These phone lines look like they're melting down, so let's get to all of them. Each one of them filled with somebody who wants to share a point of view. Caller, go right ahead. You're first.
Good evening, Mr. Paleologos.
Good evening.
Good evening, gentlemen. I just have 2 points. One, the gentleman who spoke about putting it on a ballot initiative for the turbines and getting over the signatures and stuff like that. Sir, I think you're selling yourself and the community a little short, because if a bunch of kids can get a ballot initiative to have marijuana legalized in states, then I think that a bunch of semi-educated middle-class adults could probably get this put on a ballot. That being said, Was there ever, and again, to another point, the Board of Health can't do anything about your situation, sir. It's far over their head. So to sit there and to bash and to disparage the Board of Health, I don't think that's fair. This goes way over the Board of Health. This goes way over a lot of people's heads. What you should do, sir, is start a petition and send it up to Washington, to the current presidential administration that's so far behind that they're pushing green energy so much that this might be something that you can say, hey, listen, use Fairhaven as an experiment. It might work, but not in this demographic. It has to be in open fields. It has to be in oceans. It has to be somewhere not 1,500 feet from where I lay my bed to rest. So those are two things that you might have to look at. But I'd appreciate it if you looked at it on a grand scheme and not disparage those people who unfortunately have to just do their civic obligation at the Board of Health and those other people. And again, my question is, it was so close to your home, sir. Was there any monetary value? Like, did they give you any money, eminent domain? Is any of the land that the wind turbines yours? Or is that just is that the town of Fairhaven's land? And I'll end with that. I'll hang up and listen. Thank you very much, Mr. Paleologos.
Thank you.
Thank you for your question. No, it's on town land. Both turbines are on town land. There's no benefit to the residents in the immediate vicinity at all.
And I'd like to comment on both points of view he made. The Board of Health, we looked into it. We have the copy of the law. Statutory state law, setting up boards of health throughout the Commonwealth, give them the right to act on matters of such matters as this one. They do have certain legal rights and that they can exercise. So that's not true, and I would be glad to find that for the person.
And by legal rights,
they could make demands of the developer, shut down during the night like they did down in Falmouth. Did the Board of Health do that in Falmouth? Well, the state actually did it. The state was going to do it because of the testing if the Board of Health refused to. Mm-hmm. But so the Board of Health in Falmouth went ahead. But the Board of Health has, under the nuisance complaints, under the Massachusetts statutory laws, the right to do a lot. And so I think that's not true. The other issue is on the ballot question. That's a local bylaw that was changed a few years back when there was a school committee person, and then they had a recall election, and they had another recall election, and so they basically have made it almost impossible. If you look at the bylaw the town has now, it is really. We looked at it. It just. It's not the same as a couple of kids going out there and getting a petition signed. It's a very monumental task, which would be, I think, it's made it impossible. The caller inferred that there was bashing going on to the Board of Health. Well, the only bashing is we're asking the Board of Health to listen to the residents of this town. So that's bashing. Okay, then you can call that the way you want to call it. I don't call it bashing. 9960500. Hi, caller.
Hello.
Go right ahead.
Hi. I'm curious. Again, I listened to the previous caller, and I don't think that appealing to your Board of Health is bashing either. They're paid to do a job and provide a public service, obviously. But if we're going to address public health, I'm curious, what exactly are the symptoms and exactly what are the problems as you perceive them? Is it, again, you were asked, is it the noise? Is it? I've heard the term glint before in regards to this issue. And the reason I ask is because I'd like to really hear specifics on this, because the issue of high-tension power lines has been brought up in the past as causing everything from brain tumors to insomnia as well. But as a neurologist, I can tell you that in the literature, there's really been no conclusive studies that have shown that EMF causes brain tumors or insomnia. Mm-hmm. So again, if the good gentleman who unfortunately have to live so close to these turbines could describe in detail what it is that they experience, I think would go a far way toward garnering the kind of sympathy from people who don't have to live close to them, which would be necessary for them to get petitions with the necessary amount of signatures.
Sure. Peter?
Yes. First, to note is that turbines don't affect everybody. It's almost like seasickness. Some people are affected, some people aren't. I wasn't affected very badly at all when it began. It seemed the symptoms came on me over the course of a few months.
What symptoms?
Headaches.
Can you explain the headache? Was it like a regular headache or a migraine or what?
Just a headache in the back of my head that...
How long did it last?
Sometimes for a few hours. As long as I stay, if I'm away from the area, I'm fine. I don't always get them. It's usually when the wind is coming from the east, so we would be behind the blades turning. And dizziness. I haven't felt a lot of nausea, maybe just a couple of instances of nausea.
Now, when you say dizziness... when you get up in your home, you feel dizzy. You feel as though there's like an imbalance going on, or what?
Yeah, a couple of episodes of dizziness while I'm having the headache. It's not generally when I don't have a headache. It's just, if I've got that headache and I'm trying to walk up the stairs or do anything, get up out of a chair. I get the dizziness. We have families who have children who have headaches, and as I've described, one child had to leave their home. There are different people affected with in the inner ear. They feel like they're in an airplane constantly, like the ears need to pop, but they just don't pop. So there are different symptoms to different people. Usually it's... Are
you documenting these?
Many people are. I have been documenting them lately because it's getting more severe.
For the Board of Health to address anything, they have to be documented.
Yeah, well, they have an online complaint form.
And where would that be?
That's on the town's website.
All right. 9960500. Caller, go right ahead.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Hello there.
May I suggest that you look into the town of Bourne and approach the residents of Taylor Point who live adjacent. Well, my goodness sakes, 1,500 feet is a long way compared to some of those residences, wherein Mass Maritime has not one, but I believe they're putting up a second one.
Much smaller.
Wind turbine.
Those are
not
smaller
as high,
ones, though. Yeah, right.
But I would be very interested in seeing whether residents found at Taylor's Point who live within an earshot of those two wind turbines.
What's the size difference, Ken? Do you know?
Well, these are 14.
Well, yeah, it depends. It depends upon the wind speed. Sometimes they have to go higher to get the wind speed so that the turbines can turn. I know they do rotate about 132 miles an hour, which is high. But they are also controlled by brakes so that the speed doesn't increase and doesn't decrease. It stays at that steady speed.
Well, that's an interesting piece of advice. Thank you very much.
These are much larger, and the larger turbines are the ones that really get people sick. I mean, Vestas, which is one of the major world producers of industrial turbines, their business has gone way off. But they are located in the Netherlands, and you can't... Because of so many people getting sick, so many issues of health issues, years ago they put them up over in the Netherlands. They were very big on wind turbines. Now you cannot put one. You cannot put one in the whole country.
This culture is so litigious. They are sue crazy. Has anyone sued any of these manufacturers based on some of the complaints that Peter was talking about, to your knowledge?
I don't. Do you know?
There is currently a suit taking place in New York where residents...
Is it a class action suit?
Yes, it is.
9960500. All of these lines are filled, and we'll try to get to each and every one of you. Welcome, caller.
Hey, Phil, thank you, and gentlemen. Phil, it seems like the cart was put before the horse on this one. From what I understand, there was a lot of opposition to these things going on prior to, because a lot of folks did their homework, and they knew that there were issues where they put these, when they put these things near people's homes. I mean, these things are let's face it, these things are hideous looking. I'm all about all the green and all that good stuff, but let's face it, right off the bat, and I'm no rocket scientist here, that was a horrible spot to put them in. You are jeopardizing folks. So obviously these folks did not do their homework prior to saying, hey, let's put these things up as a great idea. Because if they did, they would have said, bad spot. We can do this, but let's find the right spot for it. And we know who those folks are because their names were mentioned in this whole conversation I've listened to since you started this thing earlier tonight, Phil. As far as Mr. Bowcock, I've been to the meetings, and I've sat there. I do not live near them, but I am a Fairhaven resident. At this point, how can he concede? He was behind these things from day one. How can he now say, guess what, you're right, people are sick? I think it's a damn shame that people are hurting from this, and I believe it's in folks' heads. These things are close enough to their homes that if there are issues, it's been proven, with these things so close to home. At this point, these folks are not making this up, obviously. I respect what they say. I wouldn't want one in my backyard.
Well, their complaint is also that they haven't been able to express themselves in an official way in a meeting. There's a stiff-arming going on. What are your comments?
Phil, I've seen it. I've been there. I've seen the arrogance of this gentleman, Mr. Bowcock. He does not want to hear it. And like I said, at this point, of course he doesn't. He can't backpedal on this. My God, what a mess. I mean, and they should not be in use. They should have never went up. That's the problem. So they've gone this far, but nobody wants to hear otherwise. There are folks in this town that are in government and in different positions that right now, if this goes backwards, it's going to cost the town money. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I've done my research. I've done my reading. I've checked it out. This could be serious if this all has to be reversed. And I'll let someone else get their words in.
Thank you for your point of view. Peter?
Yeah, the town would be open to a lawsuit from the developer if they try to backtrack on this. And not only that, the town council, let the town sign the contract that allowed it to be open for a lawsuit, knowing there were issues in advance.
If you'd like to join us, 996-0500 is our number. Our two guests, Ken Pottel and Peter Goben, join me in studio as we talk about the ignoring of opponents of the town's 2 wind turbines in Fairhaven, according to many of the residents, from the chairman and that's Brian Bowcock of the Select Board in Fairhaven. The chairman, yes. Hello there, caller.
Hello, Phil. Great show tonight. I just wanted to make a comment in support of something that Mr. Pottel mentioned a moment ago. The law that he was referring to is actually Mass General Law, Chapter 111, Section 143, and it's ordinarily referred to as the Noisome Trade Law. And this law specifically empowers local boards of health to shut down any business or any operation because it is too noisy and it is impacting the health or the peaceful enjoyment of property owners in the vicinity. There's more than 30 years of evidence to show that infrasound and low-frequency noise is an occupational health hazard that has very, very serious long-term health consequences. And there's no doubt that the Fairhaven Board of Health has the authority to make a decision in complete independence from the Board of Selectmen. The problem here is what I feel is cronyism in Fairhaven government. The Board of Health, 2 of the members of the Board of Health are directly answerable, as far as I'm concerned, to Brian Bowcock, and that is why they have refused to act.
Interesting. Comments, Ken or Peter? That's a very interesting point.
He's got a good point, and Peter Goben, who is the chairperson, has not allowed us to be on the agenda.
This is Peter right here.
I mean, Peter, not Goben. Sorry, Peter de Terra. But he is campaigning with, or at least fundraising with, Brian Bowcock in the upcoming election. So they're very close.
Do you agree with this caller's assessment?
I would say that he's yeah, I would have to say that there's a lot of merit to what he's saying. Yeah,
Peter,
he's spot on.
Caller, thank you so very much for joining us. I have a lot of calls I want to get to, and I appreciate yours.
Great. Thanks, Phil.
You betcha. And I hope I can get through all of them. We only have about 4 or 5 minutes left. Caller, go right ahead.
Hi, Phil. This is Louise. I was on your show last week. I just wanted to quickly speak to the neurologist who called in, and I want to tell him that we're going to have an information session. Oh, I'm sorry about that, Phil. We're going to have a health information session Saturday, December 8th at the Maritime Institute from 10 to 1. And what we will have there is information from physicians for physicians.
Now, when is
as
this
well
being?
as I'm sorry?
I'm sorry. When is this one more time, Louise? When?
Saturday, December 8th.
Yeah.
It's the town holiday shopping days, so everybody should be in town. And we're going to be there to provide information. And we're going to have information from neighbors to neighbors. We're going to have information from physicians to impacted neighbors, to those that are feeling it. And then we're also going to have information for physicians from physicians. So we're going to have just a chance for anyone who has some questions about the health effects that we really don't have the time to go into on this phone call. Right. We're going to have time. So what I'd like to do is just reach out to that gentleman who called, that doctor, and ask him to come on Saturday, December 8th, Northeast Maritime Institute from 10 to 1.
And where is the Northeast Maritime Institute?
It's on Washington Street, about a block down from Town Hall.
Okay, we'll get the address.
I'll send you the info, Phil.
Thank you very, very much, Louise.
Thank you, Phil.
All righty. And this is in Fairhaven, the Northeast Maritime Institute. Caller, go right ahead.
Phil.
Yes.
I think what needs to happen in Fairhaven, I think in order for us to heal, we need to admit to the mistake. And this was clearly, in my view and the view of many others, a mistake. I mean, in the towns of Falmouth, they've admitted to the mistake. In Falmouth, the Board of Health and the Select Board shut the turbines off during Thanksgiving just to give people a break from the sound. Senate President Murray has reversed her position on turbines, saying that while she supports alternative energy, she realizes they cannot be placed in residential neighborhoods, and there are issues related to this. So if I feel like our Board of Health and our Select Board, or some members on those boards, feel like when the DEP study is released, they're just going to hang their hat on that if it says there are no issues and move along. What's going to prevent that from happening is this, in my view. As more and more people become ill, if somebody moves out of a house because they can't take the sound, somebody else is going to move in. And if that person gets sick, they're going to go to the Board of Health. So this is not going to go away. We need to realize this. And I'm really concerned about the students who will be moving into the Wood School. So right now we might have a 1,000 residents around who are getting directly impacted. But we're soon going to have thousands of children who could get directly impacted from the infrasound and the flicker of these turbines. And that's very concerning.
I really appreciate your point of view. Thank you for your call. And in the minute and a half we have, and to the other callers, all the lines are filled. I will say this. Every point of view is welcomed on this program. And those of you who are on the line right now, give me a call at another time and express your points of view. That is the real source of what this radio station is about. This station is not about ignoring anyone's point of view. It is about sharing everyone's point of view. And with that said, Peter, give you a moment for a final word, and you can.
Well, I have to support what you just said. We want the residents of our community who want to have their point of view heard. And you're allowing this. We want our town officials to do the same thing what you're doing.
Peter?
Yes, affected residents aren't looking for sympathy. We're just looking for a solution to the problem. And thank you for having us on.
Yeah,
You're very welcome, and opposing views are also welcomed. Let me just make this final announcement that Louise gave me, and that is on Saturday, December 8th. There will be information at this symposium from physicians to residents and from residents to physicians, and it should be an interesting information sharing session at the Northeast Maritime Institute. This is on Washington Street in Fairhaven, and we'll find the exact address. But those of you who are interested, please do attend this Saturday, December the 8th. And it is a local event. You have a local shopping day going on that day, so a lot of local residents will be out and about. Thank you both very much for making yourselves present here on the radio. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm very grateful to each and every one of you. Good night, everybody.